All right, welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to expand on what we learned in the previous one in our functional field. So we've created this functional field that calculates up our calories and loads them in and totals them up into our total meal. But one of the things you'll notice, if I have 2 servings of this, go ahead and change the servings to 2. Save it back. Notice how we don't get 2 servings added in here. We don't have that in our functional field yet. So at this point, consider this as one of the challenges or the exercises that we do periodically. I want you to think a little bit about how the functional field works and what we did in the previous video, in the previous lecture, and see if you can go in and add the calculation so that it handles the servings as well. So it's going to require you to think a little bit about where in the code you need to make the change. So do that. Pause the video and see if you can make that change and actually get it to do the calculation to take serving size into account into calculating the calories for the total meal calories. Okay, hopefully you paused that and hopefully you tried to work through that a little bit yourself. And now I'm going to show you what you need to do. And the first little tip I told you was that you really do need to think about where you want to make the change in your code first. So let's pull the code up, and you'll notice it has nothing to do with our view. All of the calculations for total calories is in our model. So we want to go to the model. And we know here is where we're doing our calculation of where we're adding for each menu item the calories on the current calories. So now if you still struggled and weren't able to make this change, if you've gotten this far, try now to add the required code in order to do the serving sizes. Well, if you haven't got it, we're going to go ahead and do it right now. And really what we need to do is we know we have our meal item here. So the meal item is our first thing that we need to get. And then we want to get the actual item that we're talking about. And then from there, we can go right to servings. And notice how we have serving and we have servings sizes. So this actually is possibly what we're going to be looking for. Meal item, we're already at the meal item level here. And we don't need to go into the item. We want to get the servings for this meal item. And that reminds me that we probably could simplify this to calories because we've already got calories here coming from the related field. So we were drilling down into item ID and then getting the calories, but we really don't need to go to item ID to get the calories. We already have them in the menu item. And let's see if I type that out, if it can find it. It can. So it's servings from menu item, from meal item. So meal item is going to come here to get the servings, and we're going to multiply that by the calories. And sometimes it can help to be a little more explicit about this, to say that we first want to multiply these two together before we add. And that's always implied in most programming languages, but it can sometimes help you just for readability to say that we're taking the current calories and we want the current calories plus what these two are added together. We don't want to first add this to this and then multiply it by that. Just makes it a little cleaner to read. And then we're still going to store this back in total calories. So let's see if that exercise works. Let's Control C and hit up arrow. Now we wouldn't expect any errors in here because we haven't changed anything in the views and this code hasn't run yet, but let's go ahead and run it. We'll go from diet items back to our meals so that we can get back to our view. And now notice that it hasn't changed this yet because we haven't changed serving. It's not seeing any volatility in the data. So that's something to realize when you're working with functional fields. And I hit save. And now notice how it's multiplying them up. So let's do this one times 2. Let's do it times 4 so we know, look, yeah, 2,000 calories. So it's taking now not just the calories, it's multiplying it by the servings and then adding them in. So we get our total meal calories. So now we're going to do another exercise as part of this exercise video that's kind of teaching you to do some of these things yourself. We need to now create a tree view for this meal. So like, for example, if we go to meals, we're just getting the default meal tree view, the default tree view that comes with our model. We don't have a one that we created custom like we did here. Unfortunately, making the tree view is a little easier. It won't be as hard because we don't have this nested view. We just need to show the header information. In other words, we only need to show what's inside the meal. We don't have to concern ourselves with the meal items. But that's an exercise that I want you to pause the video now and try to create a meal tree view that lets you see the meal name, lets you see the date of the meal, the user, and the calories in the tree view. And so you are going to have to go in your view. You're going to have to examine your code and walk through those steps yourself. But go ahead and try to do it yourself because we've already created a tree view. You've already seen how to do it, and we've created form views. So go ahead and try to hook it in yourself. Pause the video. After you've tried to do it yourself, then I'll walk you through it. Okay, so hopefully you pause the video. Now I'm going to show you the steps that I take in order to add and create our own tree view here for our meal. So the first thing I want to do is go to our diet facts view, and I want to find the tree view we already got. It's because I don't want to have to make a tree view from scratch when I've already made one up here. And so I can look at this one right here that we made for our product template. So this is the one that we made so that we could have added serving size, calories, and last updated. Now we also have another tree view that we created. If you remember, I think we created another one, didn't we? No, we didn't. So we don't. That is our only tree view that we really created from scratch. That's a form view, and then here's our tree view. So here's our tree view, and I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to bring it down here next to our meal items. So we want to keep our kind of our models with our views together. So this is our meal form view. Let's go ahead and put our meal tree view right under it. I'm going to paste it. And notice how we have product template in here, tree view. Let's just go ahead and change this to meal. So our ID is Diet Facts Meal Tree View. Notice how this one is Diet Facts Meal Form View. So we're keeping things named the same to make it easier. Now I know that we want to use the same model. So I can copy our model that we have here. I can copy it right down to here. Now, like before, we don't need to inherit because this is our own model. We created this model. We're not inheriting from anything else. And we also don't need this field name before because we're not inheriting. So there's nothing defined in our parent view and we don't need to position anything. But what we can do is just change this to say tree, because this is going to be our tree view. And we'll go and put a tree at the end there. And now we just have to change out our field names. We have the name of our meal. We have our meal date. We have our user. And if we go back over here, we'll see the other one that we really know we want to have is the total calories. Oh, and we don't have our item ID either. So we want the item ID. Oh, no, wait, I apologize. We don't want that because that's in the list. We just want total calories. Like that. So let's see if that's enough to get it for us. Because we're specifying the model here. It's a tree, and this is a tree, and the framework is going to do what it needs to do to pull this view for us. So we go back to here, we go to diet items, click meals, and look at how that works. We've got right here our total meal calories, meal users Bob, meal date, and it's our breakfast meal.